Prayer by Francis.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, everyone.
Yes, let us all now bow our heads in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for assembling us here today at our National Council meeting in harmony, in solidarity, and in friendship. Guide us in our deliberations, temper our emotions, help us to be responsible and mature in our judgment, and to respect the views of our fellow men so that we can consider in our discussions other voices of reason, logic, honesty, and sincerity. Make wisdom our guide and give us your strength in our weakness. When we meet problems, give us courage to face them and the resolve to till the moral soil so that we can cultivate acceptable principles and solutions to our problems. At the end of our meeting, let our discussions be in accord with your wishes, dear God, satisfying to ourselves and acceptable and comforting to all those who have placed their trust in our leadership and in our ability to serve with equity and justice.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please be seated? This morning, we do have a little problem in that we had a bit of a miscommunication in that the GenSec mentioned to me that we probably should look at the possibility of having a political discussion this morning based on what was happening. But I think it was wrong for us, for the GenSec to take that decision, or even for me to take that decision without the National Council's permission to do so. And in fact, we should have had our minutes here this morning and our agenda, which we did. The minutes were vetted last week and were ready for printing. And so I don't understand why we do not have copies of the minutes this morning. And the agenda was done as well. But I think there were requests by from various members who wanted us to have to waive the agenda for this morning and to allow for a political discussion. As I said, I cannot preempt you, and I don't think that we, as even members of the National Executive, GenSec chairman, political leader, could take that decision without your permission. So if you would like us to proceed, the minutes are available. We just don't have them printed. If you want us to proceed with an agenda, we can do so. All right, so I'll wait your comments on this.
Well, maybe it's on. Good morning to everybody. I think those who are customary here know me. My name is Yunus St. Joseph, and I've got a big mouth. I had intended this morning to stand and ask that the agenda be set aside so we can discuss matters of urgent political interest to the COP and to the nation. Prior to that, I had forwarded to the party in June, because I couldn't be here at the June meeting, a notice of an agenda which, for a motion, which I had hoped would have been attended to today, concerning the question of our own constitution. So I'm caught in a bit of a dilemma. However, all things being equal, and given the urgency to make some decisions here, and maybe to reverse certain kinds of decisions that have been made without proper authorization, I would want to move that we set aside the agenda and to discuss matters of urgent political interest to this party and to this nation. I so move. Yunus.
You hold it. You don't know how to do this thing, you know. You just don't know how to handle these things. Leave it to me. Yes, Madam Chairman. Apart from the fact that we did have some interesting matters arising, questions, I do not think that this is actually the best course. I mean, without some serious rules and regulations that will govern this portion of the thing, because I do not see the sense in, once more, having another talk shop that concerns the Congress of the People. If you want to structure this session so that there are motions that can be received and you have waived all the agenda and the normal rules that govern a national council, then we have to approach this in a very structured manner. If this is another talk shop, please tell me, okay, because, you know, we could go and do other things. Okay? You cannot just defer the business arising out of the Congress of the People in a situation where we are inundated and in the deluge of decisions that have not been taken, that do need to be taken without some kind of structured agenda. What is the purpose of waiving the agenda? Because what? We feel that they're interesting political topics. You can meet me at Rituals on a Monday to Friday, and I'm going to discuss it with you. Okay, whole day I could sit down and discuss it with you. All right, but this needs to be structured, so unless you guys could come up with some kind of format to guide this thing.
What are your recommendations, Satu?
Well, right now, he has motions. Everybody has something that is saying. So at this point, we either devise an agenda here, which is what you can do, devise an agenda, formulate an agenda as to what the discussion is. It's not, I don't want to hear about CPEP and URP and nonsense anymore. I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about where this party is going. I want a declaration of intent coming out of this National Council as to where we will be in 2015. That is what I want to know. I want to know what is the strategy for getting there. I want to know why the political leader has not explained his appearance on a UNC platform. Don't talk when I'm talking, Deputy Political Leader. Do not go there. Don't go there. I have the floor. Yes, I am talking to you.
Satu,
I am talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, you see this is why. No.
No. He cannot. The crosstalk. I am.
Deputy Political Leader, please. Yes. No, please. Please, this is not the way we behave as a
Well,
COP.
no, but we have to. You cannot just stand up and willy-nilly disregard your membership. I didn't come here to this, you know.
All right,
I got the
Satu.
same token.
Okay.
No, what we cannot set aside. My point is, you cannot set aside an agenda
Satu,
without having
Satu.
another agenda.
Satu,
Yes.
Exactly.
right? Right? Okay, wait, hold on. And I don't want people clapping either. This is a meeting of the COP. COP does not behave in this manner.
Thank you.
Let us try to meet and treat with the issues, and let us come to consensus. We have always been a party about consensus building. Now, you suggested that we devise an agenda. Okay? First of all, there are some matters that we must deal with still, that I think the national is still important for the National Council. Right? So are you okay? All right? Okay?
It's falling for us.
I want to suggest, therefore, can I suggest?
Please.
Satu, please. And you can have a seat, Satu. It's fine, you come in. What I want to suggest, okay, is that so far, and this morning of all days, we don't have, do we have the vision and mission by now? Yes. Yes. We do have an agenda. Let me call out the agenda for you, and we will proceed with the agenda. All right? If you agree with it, it's just that you do not have it in front of you. Okay? The one thing that we will not be able to do on this agenda is the confirmation of the minutes, because the minutes were not circulated this morning. All right? So I'm going to have to waive that one. All right? The other issue that we need to have, we were going to have our reports on the constituency elections, local government, new members, public meetings, National Assembly, and then we would move to political discussions. Okay?
I find it very strange that you have not spoken to Satu about disrespecting the head table, and you're proceeding as if nothing is going on. I will not have Satu anyone disrespect the head table, or myself, or anybody else. I will not have that.
Satu, they would like you to apologize, please. But it means as well, when people are at the podium, give them a chance to speak as well. Right? Okay? No, see, Deputy Political Leader.
No.
Start right there.
Madam Chairman,
Wait, Satu. Wait, hold on. We have rules inside of here. Wait, hold on. Go back to the rules that we have. Please. We ask that we listen to each other. While someone is speaking, as much as we disagree with what that person is saying, let the person finish. When the person finishes, you have an opportunity to respond. Okay? Secondly, Satu, that is not the way to behave. And
Correct.
I don't want this. This is not a place where we're going to carry on in this, conduct the business of the Congress of the people. So I would like you to apologize for your behavior. Okay?
Madam Chairman, I humbly submit an apology to the deputy political leader. However, I do not withdraw my previous statements.
Statement. What was the previous statement that?
Therein lies the problem, Madam Chairman.
Because I couldn't hear.
One of the matters arising that I would like to have addressed, which I am forced now to address in another form and fashion, we will address that today. Okay? And that subject matter was under matters arising, the attendance of the political leader, and how this has actually impacted on our strategy. If we cannot, as a party, discuss these kinds of matters without somebody getting up and saying, oh God, you don't like the political leader. It is not my job to like the political leader. Okay? All right? That is my point.
Okay.
Madam
All
Chairman,
right, let me give the deputy political leader.
before the distinguished political
Fellas, let me say what I have to say now. Satu, I was not responding to the content of what you were saying. What I was saying is that we were discussing the motion of whether we should proceed with a particular political decision, to have political discussion or not. And I realized that you had already started having political discussion. So I was saying that we shouldn't start the political discussion because we haven't made a decision. That's what I was
Unreserved
about
apology
to say.
to the deputy political leader.
Okay,
My point of order, Madam Chairman, is
all right, let me just, Francis, just hold on a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
I had placed a motion before, and it wasn't entertained, and people began to speak on the motion. And therefore, we ended up in the convulsion that we ended up in. And now, Madam Chairman, you have now basically said we're going to follow an agenda. And let me say respectfully, my reason for wanting to set aside this is because I find that this and the amount of attention I paid to this, as valuable as it is, tend to deflate people's energy, and very important things are ignored. And I believe that we're in a time and in a season where we need to subject this to the very important things that we need to pay attention to. So I would want to have the motion seconded and placed before this House, before we go any further. Have a good morning.
All right, before you go with the motion, I just want to beg your indulgence that we have waived the minutes cannot be dealt with today. And if you look at the 3 items on the agenda, I'm sure that's where you want to go, the local government elections, the update on that, the issue with the public meetings, the new members, we have nothing. We have nothing to report on new members, so it's really 2 items I would really like to get on the board. And then you go into political discussions. So it's just that it allows us to structure this morning, as Satu indicated and others are indicating, because if we just waive the agenda, my concern is, or if not, let us come up with an agenda for this morning. It's my humble view that if we just leave it open like this, we will not get anywhere. All right? So let us just decide what it is we want to discuss this morning, and let's put it down.
Madam Chair, Digger Martin Central, Lorraine Pouchette, we would like to support your recommendation as to how we should proceed today.
Thank you. Mr. Nurse, are you okay with that?
Madam Chairman,
Do you have anything that you would like to put on?
of level of tolerance, and when I find that it's tolerant, I can make appropriate intervention.
All right.
Foolishness, and we can go
Okay, but what are the issues you would like to discuss, Mr. Nurse, so we could put it on the agenda for this morning?
Well, one of the things I want to discuss is the involvement. I see advertisements in the newspaper. You see, with this party.
What, would you public meeting?
Yeah.
All right, so we have public meetings right here.
No, a public meeting in Chihuahuas West. Yeah. That's an issue I want to discuss.
Yeah, and that is here.
I want to discuss why we have not brought our own constitution to this party. Yeah. And a number of other things stemming from there. Shalom.
Okay, so should we put on the constitution? I'll put it on the constitution. So far I have the local government, constitution, public meetings, I'm taking off new members, constituency elections.
One more, Madam Chairman, State of the People's Partnership and the continued involvement of the Congress of the People in that partnership.
Well, could we put that general? Under the political discussion? So that's general. I'm taking off the discussion on National Assembly. All right. Okay. Are we in agreement now with this,
Madam Chair, Ricardo Rambly of the Tunapuna constituency. I would not like to remove the issue of new members from the agenda.
that has been removed.
There are some key issues that I would, or perhaps questions I can ask about it.
You
Can
want
I
to talk
raise
about
that?
it?
Can I raise that in other business then?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
thank you.
We have one issue here with the constituency elections. Do we need a discussion on that? All right. Do we want to deal with the constituency elections? We do have a report. Where's Nizam? Nizam? All right. Are you all okay? We want that struck from the agenda. Please show of hands, please. All those who want it off the agenda. All those who want it on the agenda. Lord. Equal. All right, the report is there, right? You have the report in your hands. I'm going to ask if you have any questions on it, you will ask Nizam. So we'll do that first, okay? All right, before we get started, however, we did miss the vision and mission statement. Can we get the vision and mission statement read? Francis?
Yes, morning once more, ladies and gentlemen. The COP's vision statement. Our vision. through the principles and by the governance of the Congress of the People, to transform Trinidad and Tobago into a model nation where all aspire to excellence, where the government is the servant of the people, the society enjoys public peace and security, the economy is strong and sustainable, prosperity is equitably shared by all, and every citizen is assured of equal justice. And where we find enduring unity and strength in our diversity as we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Just before we move on, I don't want to make any chairman's remarks, but there's just one issue I wanted to address as the chairman of the Congress of the People, and that is, again, as we proceed this morning, I want to appeal to each and every one of you. The Congress of the People is going to face some of the biggest challenges ever during the next couple of weeks. What I really want, for members to appreciate is that at the end of the day, your actions can damage the party. For those of us, and for those of you, many who are here in this room this morning, you worked in this party. You started this party. We worked very hard. Your blood, sweat, and tears are in this party. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Congress of the People, family members, I want to appeal to you that I don't want us to go down the road of this divisiveness that is taking place. I am indeed very disappointed once more that I will be called by the press to be told about what happened in a national executive meeting on Monday night, the discussions that took place. I was put into a position that I have to say no comment. And if we continue on that road, because we do it here too, I made some statements in a National Council meeting before I was chairman, and it is in the mirror. People will not feel free to be able to express their views if that continues. It does nothing. It shows when the country is trying to look for a party that is stable and is on the right course, that we are one of them too, not stable. We're creating more of a vacuum when we do this. So indeed, I want to express my disappointment in what has been taking place. Furthermore, as we have suspended the minutes of this morning, I want to say something, and I'm going to repeat it here. I have found that since I have become chairman of this party, sometimes I wonder if I know this party anymore. The kinds of fighting and bickering and sabotage and backbiting, that is not the Congress of the People. I want to remind you of the days when we walked this country from end to end, preaching, looking for people, expressing our vision. And I also want to say, based on what is happening today, I want to say that we probably failed as a party, that we didn't get out there enough to express our view, our vision for changing and the new politics of this nation. That the new politics today, we may have to change that word. We have to change that phrase because it's becoming a dirty phrase. And why? Because we became so focused inside of here. I also want to say to you, I was very disappointed that when I came in here as chairman, I tried to go back out to meet with the membership of this party. When we set up the panchayat meetings, the kind of criticisms we got, instead of people joining with us in those panchayat meetings, we got more criticism than ever. And why were we doing it? Because we were trying to find back the membership, the foot soldiers of this party who believed in this vision, to touch them. But I hear all kinds of things being said about me, said about the political leader, said about this one and the next one. What are we? We are not a party of gossip. If you have a problem with me, say so. If you have a problem with the political, call him. And one other thing I want to say about this party. We're so much involved in technology. Instead of using the technology to express our vision and the policies, the good policies of this party, we use it, I don't know to do what, to wash our dirty linen in public. What you want to say on email, I don't like this thing called emails. I had to tell the national executive, the amount of things we put on emails, stop it. If you all want to say something, you don't like what I'm doing, call me. If you don't like what the political leader doing, call him. But stop this thing with Facebook and emails. I want to tell you something. One day somebody will take all of that, copy it, and return it to us when we would, most likely when we are in our dais, when we are going through our worst times, that will be used against us. Why do we carry on these conversations? But we come right here. We come to a national executive meeting. We come to a local government meeting, but we won't express our views. We go on the blogs to do it. I really wish we would stop that. I know today a lot of decisions are going to be made, a lot of questions are going to be raised, we will have a lot of debates. I'm asking you, I'm appealing to you, that you do not go out there and repeat what is said in here. Allow people to express their views openly. If we want to be strategic, we can't have the strategy outside there. Then we don't have a strategy. But then many of you will ask, what's the strategy? But that's why I had to keep the strategy secret, because you put it on the blogs. So I thought I would say that this morning. I want to tell you again, and I said it here before, I have found this party to be not a working party. I don't know what has happened to each and every one of you. But if somebody is doing some work, you want to pull on that person. Instead of helping the person to go forward, you're pulling them down. And I also want to say the quality of the work. COP standards are higher than other political parties. Other political parties when it comes to the quality of our work. And yet still, I see people, you know, instead of spending energy, putting out your energy in those areas of producing good quality work for the sake of our nation and our country, we spend so much energy in this. Back and forth, quarreling, attacking each other. So I'm appealing to you this morning, do I have your agreement that we will not go down that road? Once more, and by the way, I don't support any Jack Warner, if anybody thinks so. And I never said so on the Monday night meeting. I want to get very clear, because we asked for him to resign from the cabinet. We asked for his removal on a matter of principle. Okay? But again, too, there's the misinformation that goes out with all these leaks. But I can't answer the press, because if I go to answer them, I just have to say no comment, because what would I do? Add to it as well? Keep more things going in the press? To show how much disagreement going on inside the party? So do I have your agreement here this morning that we will approach this in the responsible way, in a manner that we're supposed to behave in? I want you to understand something. If the COP is to be the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, we have to exhibit good governance right here. How we conduct ourselves inside here. People will be looking on and saying, are you a model? Could you handle government? Or would you bicker and fight among each other and put all government business on the blogs? Just remember that. Social media has its purpose, but that is not the purpose. It is there to communicate, it is there to entertain participation, but not what is going on with the quarreling between COP members. And we have started it already this morning. So I have your agreement? Yes. Let me see a show of hands this time, so I could remind you. Yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now we may proceed. Constituency elections, please. Your report. We won't take very long on this, please. You all have it before you. You would have read it.
Madam Chair, Deputy Political Leaders, the rest of the head table, members, good morning. My name is Nizam Mohammed, the Interim Chairman for the Election Commission. I'll read the report dated Sunday, July 14, 2013. Since the last Election Commission report tabled to this National Council on the 23rd of June 2013, 5 other constituencies have elected constituency council executives.
Morning, everyone.
Please.
Mr. Political Leader, I will start over. Madam Chair, Deputy Political Leaders, the rest of the head table, members, good morning. Since the last Election Commission report tabled to this National Council on the 23rd of June 2013, 5 other constituencies have elected constituency council executives. They are Arima, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Caroni Central, Barataria San Juan, and Chaguanas West, which now brings us to a total of 16. The Election Commission report of June 22, 2013 stated that 8 constituencies have confirmed to hold the elections in the following 2 weeks, plus 2 others which were postponed due to a lack of quorum. Of those 10, only 5 were able to accomplish this task. The Election Commission continues to meet, changing the election dates forward to accommodate the constituencies to have their elections. The Election Commission original plan was to have the Constituency Conference 2013 completed by the first week of July 2013. But due to the difficulties faced by the remaining constituencies, this will not be possible. We, the Election Commission, appeal to the National Executive to intervene with the Secretary of Mobilization, regional representatives, and the ground activists from these constituencies to have these elections completed in the shortest possible time prior to our upcoming local elections. I want to thank the members of the Election Commission, Mr. Edward Ramsmer, Mr. Clyde Constantine, Mr. Gilbert Agard, also Charlene and other office staff for their efforts in moving this process forward. I submit this report today, Sunday, July 14, 2013. Nizam Mohammed, Interim Chairman, Election Commission. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take the microphone, please? No, he's
Good morning, Edwin Samuel, Lupino Buona West. I recall at the last National Council meeting we had, it was explained why the Lupino Buona West could not have held the election. And a recommendation was made for us to have the election maybe within the next 2 years. But it's not recorded on in the report here.
It would be in the minutes. It's in the minutes. I saw it in the minutes, in fact.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Any other questions? While he's coming to the microphone, could I ask a quick question? Are we seeing an improvement in terms of the mobilization in those constituency elections?
No, ma'am.
No.
We're having a lot of problems in the central and south of the country. Besides San Fernando West and La Brea and Point Fortin, nothing else is happening.
All right, okay. All right, we'll take it back to,
Thank
treat
you.
it at the National Executive. Okay, can we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the, oh, Trevor, I didn't see you.
Trevor Bijal Singh, Chaguanas East. I just need some clarification before we go further. When we came inside, or we normally come inside, some of us get this band, and some don't get the band. Could you tell me, please, what is the difference between the observers and the people who get the band?
The delegates are the ones that vote, starting with that. chairman and secretaries are delegates. Is that what you're asking? What's the difference between what, a delegate and an observer?
Yeah, because I've noticed that, well, people we call observers can come onto the microphone and speak on issues and make statements that we make decisions on. Understand what I'm saying? People who we classify as observers will come to the microphone, say something, and then we make decisions on that. So I'm asking, why is there the difference if they can come and say things that the party makes decisions on?
Yes, they are allowed to, as observers, you're allowed to air your views. That's why they're here.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about in views. They will say things that the party will make decisions on.
No, but it does not mean that it does not, you will have to make the decision. As delegates, you get to vote on what decision you want to make. They don't move, they don't vote in the decision.
I agree. But they make statements that the party takes and makes decisions with. I'm saying that if it is an open meeting where anybody can come and give an opinion and we make decisions on that, then why do we have a separation?
I am not sure.
Because honestly, I mean, if we are to be guided by the Constitution does not recognize observers in our National Council meeting.
But are you saying we should not, it's like saying that we don't want to hear the views of any other members of our party?
Ma'am, I did not say that.
Okay.
I said the opposite. I said if we want, let us hear everybody, and why we separate?
Because at times, to be able to know, one, when we have to vote on issues, why we ask you to sit on this side, so that we could know who you are, where you are, so you could participate in the decision-making process. Because the members cannot make those decisions by voting.
You see, what happens is that a lot of time is occupied. I'm not against people giving their views. A lot of time is occupied by observers making statements. I, as a chairman, a number of times, I'm not able to make a statement because the line is long. I agree, everybody should have a say, right? And I would have thought that's the reasons for the panchayat meetings, but at least one of the reasons. But what I'm saying is that sometimes the people who can make decisions according to what you're saying, can vote, are not able to give an opinion of the representation of the constituency.
Well,
And
we
it's just a matter of
No.
logistics really, huh? Time and things.
But Trevor, I could understand if you're telling me about the timing issue.
Yeah.
But we do not deny anybody in here from making a view. So if you're a
agree with that.
delegate, you get to make your point.
No, ma'am. What I'm saying is that if 20 observers line up here, right, and you are the back as a chairman of a constituency, I have no problem with the 20 people making a view known, right? But what I'm saying is that perhaps I can't wait for 20 people to
No,
but
but
ma'am, this is the only forum in the Constitution where a chairman should be able to make a representation for his constituency. This is the only forum. There's no other forum. So many times chairman will come here and because of time, they cannot give a representation.
No, hold on. We do have a section on the agenda for reports by constituency executives. I want to start there. In addition to that, I hear your point. I don't know if you want to make a recommendation how we will change the order of the structure of the agenda so that we could give priority to the delegates to speak if that's what you're saying. Probably we can do so, but we'll take guidance on that. But I don't know if we want to deny, and you have to understand something.
I am not saying that at all.
Because I also want to say something. The reason why we have a number of members here, you know, the observers here, you have constituencies that have no executives. And that's one of the reasons that we have that. What we did put in the when we were looking at the standing orders and so on, we asked that where there are constituency chairmen and the delegates are present, that those members refrain from commenting and allow the constituency chairman and the constituency secretary who's present as delegates to speak.
You see, ma'am, therein lies the problem, in that if you have a constituency that doesn't have an executive, and you allow constituents to come here and give their opinion, then what in effect you're doing is telling them, listen, you don't need an executive. You can come here and give your opinion. See? And this is a problem we need to address, right, in a different way. I am just saying that if I have no problem with people giving their opinion, but what happens is that it means that somebody could say, I don't need to come to a constituency meeting. Right? I can come here, a National Council, and I have more publicity too.
I think we need some
but I
further a discussion, but I don't think we have time for it this morning.
No, but I
But
want you to
it's,
put that bee in your bonnet because
is
it's something
something-
I've been talking about. I've written about it and sent it in ATEX and nothing.
I
happened.
understand.
Right.
And again, too, when we discuss it with others, I've heard, we've read your submission, it was taken into consideration. And this is why we asked that where there are chairmen and secretaries for the constituency, that we would be able to, allow, defer to you instead of the members who may be present. But I want to say that we have always allowed this has always been your practice as the Congress of the People, to allow those members who do not, and especially for constituencies where there are no constituency executives, because otherwise we would have no party. We want to make sure we have a national participation. So Trevor, we take your point, and I think we will discuss it at our next National Council meeting. Can we move on, please, to local government? Just before we go to local government, I just want to open the local government discussions, ladies and gentlemen, based on, because I noticed there was some emails up and down about what the party is doing about local government. So allow me to report as chairman of the Congress of the People. As you know, we have been having chairman's meeting, the chairman's forum, and we have been discussing local government candidates at that meeting. And one of the things that we had mentioned to them, and you would have heard that, and we did make it public from right here, is that we had started discussions on the allocation of the PNM held seats. A subsequent meeting to that, and that would have been about a month or to be in July now, in May, remind me, it was a May meeting that we had at the chairman's level. We agreed that we would name a 3-member negotiating team from each partner so that we can proceed with the negotiations. And let me just tell you where I stand on this issue. It is our view, and the National Executive was of the view, that we do not want to be in a position, and you expressed that right here, that we do not want to be in a position where we are rushing the negotiation for seats. And therefore, we knew well in advance, we knew when it is constitutionally due, and therefore we are of the firm conviction that we ought to have had those seats allocated already so that we can move forward with the screening process. On last Sunday, we convened a national, again a chairman's forum meeting. Ms. Amin, who is the acting chairman, was accompanied by Mr. Suraj Ratan Rambachan, who is the local government minister. And again, too, because of their press time schedule, their hectic schedule, we waived again the agenda and allowed us to go straight into local government. And this is what happened. We said that we were supposed to have our 3-member teams. We are starting negotiations on Wednesday, which would have been Wednesday gone. We want all our negotiations completed by the 21st of July for the allocation of seats. Because we recognize that if you have local government elections anywhere at the end of September or even October, and you cannot go beyond October 26th, then it will give us enough time, because after we have allocated seats, we have to go through a screening process for our candidates. And that takes some time, if we are to hold true to that process. And as a consequence of that, we saw ourselves cutting it very close to the day of nominations for local government candidates. As a result, I want to say that they were informed, we wrote them, they left the meeting, but before they left the meeting, we put certain positions on the table. One is that on principle, which we had agreed to at the last chairman's meeting, that we will allocate seats to the various partners on the basis of winnability. Secondly, allocation of seats would be based on will be part of the strategy for the 2015 general election. Thirdly, we put the date 21st of July for us to complete the negotiations. Finally, we put on the table as a COP position, that we would like to fight whole corporations. As a result of that, we indicated to them, COP would like to put on the table 3 corporations that we would like to fight on our own as COP only. Those 3 corporations are Arima, Diego Martin, and San Fernando. The UNC did not indicate that they were in agreement with it. And we also said to them, you choose 3 corporations that you would like to fight on your own. And the other corporations, we will agree on what those 3 are. But these are our 3 we would like. And that there are other corporations that we would like to determine the seats where we would partner together between COP, UNC, NJAC, that we will move forward in terms of how we partner in running the elections. However, where we are partnering in those corporations, we would like to develop a code of ethics for platform speaking, for all our platform speakers, an oath, a code of behavior in the campaigning for those seats. And we put that on the table, that is minuted, and the GenSec the next morning wrote to all the chairmen, sent out a notice stating what took place at that meeting. So let me put on the table my own disappointment that they're now saying they're not ready to negotiate seats. Okay, so I now hand you over to the GenSec.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just indicate to members here that with respect to persons who we had expression of interest forms from, the total as of Friday was 65, and at that point we had to remove some names. One of those names was Shankar Tilak Singh, who wrote to the General Secretary of the party indicating that he wants to resign and withdraw as a potential candidate for the COP. We had information before that he was being courted by another party. We also have to really remove the name of Marilyn Ramnarine Singh, who presently holds a position as a councillor in the Point Fortin Borough Corporation. But during the last election, although she contested under a COP symbol, there were always questions as to where her party affiliation lied, and it has been confirmed to us by NJAC that she is an NJAC member, so we cannot continue to have her as a potential candidate for this party. Third person was Quincy Luces, who appeared on a television news item and indicated he and 2 other councillors in the Sangre Grande Corporation were going to join the ILP. When I became aware of that news item, I didn't see it personally, but an officer of the party called me. I called Mr. Luces on the phone, and I said, Quincy, I have heard so and so and so. Is this true? He says, well, I am hearing it myself, and that is a rumor, and it is not so. And if I even think about that, I will discuss it with the party. Less than 12 hours later, the party received a letter from Mr. Quincy Luces addressed to the political leader saying he's resigning because of his membership in another party. And the next night, he was on television with the 2 other councillors who were from the UNC saying, we support Jack Warner and so on. And then, on Friday night, Wazin Daniel publicly waved an envelope on the stage of the ILP saying he resigned from the COP. I have not seen any correspondence from him. And the practice that this party adopted is where people submit letters of indicating they wish to resign. that we will respond to them, to have further discussions with them, and we will pursue such discussions. But for the minute, we cannot fully regard those people as being potential candidates at the moment. So right now we have 64 people who are potential candidates. We have had a discussion at the last session with the potential candidates, and I think the discussion came up, and it was important to have it because the discussion came up in the context of us not being able to give our supporters things. That was the complaint that came from some of the potential candidates. And the particular person who raised it in the context that we have an MP and councillors in the corporation where he is, but we're not giving people work, and so on and so on. So I decided, let us go through a discussion about who really can give work. Because is it in the ability of an MP to decide who gets work? Is it in the ability of a councillor? And there were councillors present. And at the end of the discussion, it was clear, because one councillor's response was, MPs request projects. Councillors request projects. They don't decide. So when we are discussing about giving to our own and blaming our own representatives who do not have the ability to decide where the projects are and who gets jobs, then we are blaming ourselves for something that we are not responsible for. I also raised with the potential candidates, if we are saying, and the gentleman put it this way, charity begins at home. So if we are elected as councillors, are we to provide jobs and other things to the members of the COP first? Or are we the representatives of the electors of that district to which we are elected? And if our attitude is the first, that we must see what charity begins at home, are we really different from anybody else in terms of the politics that we practice? So we have to be very careful. Slogans are nice. Ideas are nice, people. But if we cannot practice ideas, then I say ideas are useless. And if we are to make a difference in the politics, we have to live the difference. If we are representing people, we have to represent all the people. And one of the sad things we have experienced in this party is that we have people, districts are smaller than constituencies. And for 2.5 years, I remember saying to people at local government caucus, make sure you go and hold meetings with your electors regularly. But most of us don't do that. So how are we representing people with whom we are not speaking and listening to? So we have to draw distinctions in our practice.
Thank you, Clyde. I just want to observe Wazim present here today. Wazim, do you have a resignation letter to present?
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, are there any questions on the issue of local government?
Once again, Eunice, and I really propose to lead the discussion on a number of things today. We have listened to the rather extenuous discourse from the chair and from the GenSec. And I subscribe firmly to the law of process. But I have been on this earth long enough to understand the law of pragmatism, when we need to apply that. The issue of local government and the situation that we now face, this party has got to migrate to the law of pragmatism, and I will say why. I was offended when I heard the Prime Minister of this country say in the most crass, arrogant, bumptious, and self-effacing way that I'm in the midst of a campaign, they had to wait until I finish. You see, Eric Williams is dead. And it is time we cast out and bind up the spirit of Williams in politics of this country. That was Williams. The COP is an independent entity that took a political decision to align itself in a partnership. And I made the statement 3 years ago on the first meeting after the election that if we don't put rules firmly in place, then the partnership will become an ownership, and this is what we have. I want to submit to this council today. This is the highest decision-making body of the party outside of the National Assembly. And I want to place it on record, because as I tell you, I don't drive a vehicle, either those expensive ones that you pay $24,000 a month to lease. I commute. I travel in maxis, in buses, and I walk the street. And I need to let this party know. I meet people. People who may be friends, people who want to be friends, people who may be sympathizers, people who want to sympathize. But the reading on the ground is not good for this party, and I dare say, Mr. Leader, it's not good for you. On aggregation, we are somewhere below 20%. And you say are somewhere below 15%. If you do it at the max, we are somewhere between 17.5%. We have got to redeem our position. Under our constitution, there are people in this party who are required to be here at national council meetings. People of the parliamentary caucus, of the councillor corps, and other such people. And I am satisfied that all of them have not fulfilled that tenet. We as well must avoid any scrambling for seats and any fighting for seats amongst ourselves. And I want to say as a matter of record that there are councillors who have fulfilled the first tenet. They have been faithful to the party, they have been here at council meetings, they have participated in the affairs of the party, and today we must give them the okay to begin to work the electoral districts. And we must indicate to anyone else, even in our own party, who have eyes on those districts where we are satisfied that the particular councillor has fulfilled the tenets that are required by the party, then hands off. Do not start any confusion. I feel that those areas where we have not yet had councillors and so on, I heard something about the 21st. I feel if the partners on the ship are allowing the ship to sink, then after the 21st, we are free from any bind on that, and we allow our people to begin to work their particular electoral districts on the understanding that those who do not fulfill have not fulfilled the first tenets will understand that they're doing so on a provisional basis. But we can't wait on them to set the rules first. This is the time where we begin to break the rules. Have a good day.
All right, no, before you go, Mr. Nis, let's understand your specific recommendation, because this morning we are here open for recommendations, okay? Are you suggesting, we can't say go ahead unless we go through a screening process for our party. Are you suggesting that we go ahead before the 21st, because we have said the 21st, to decide the seats that our COP should proceed with?
I am saying that we have COP councillors in certain electoral districts who have satisfied the requirements of the party, and they must not be subject to challenge. The COP cannot afford too much friction. Yeah. So we could really, let me wait respectfully on the, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to call no names,
Uh-huh.
but I have a list here. You want me to read it out? What's that? I am saying I am aware of the potential for confusion in seats where we ought not to have confusion. And I'm saying people who have satisfied the requirements of the party should be allowed to assert themselves and continue and campaign. And if you have to fast track the treating process, go ahead and do that. But we must avoid friction. And I'm saying this advisedly. I'm saying things that maybe I need to get in the office and talk to you guys about. want me to call electoral districts? I have the list here. You want me to read it? I am talking about people who have not been here since 2010. Some have been here intermittently in 2011. You ain't see them in 2012. And for 2010, you ain't see them. You want me to call the names? I have it here.
All right, okay. Okay, hold on. We want to save on time. You know, at some point in time, you're free to release your names, your member. You want to canvass the names, whatever you want to do. But the mayor would like to speak as well. So are you finished or?
Yeah, I just let me take on the table, let the council, let us soak in and they will talk after. How about it?
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, I'm before you.
Yeah, good.
Yes,
But
ma'am. Anne McPhillip, County Central. Madam Chair and Mr. Political Leader, I came to the mic to draw your attention to something. A couple of weeks ago, I was helping in the office with making phone calls for people to attend the first Tuesday night meeting that was held in Diego Martin. And one of the lists that I was given was potential candidates for the local government elections. My point this morning is that if they could not, and they were not able to mobilize people to come to that meeting, then they should not be considered for local government elections. Because as I see it, one of the things, if you belong to a party and you're holding office in that party, then it is incumbent upon you to do all you can to mobilize people. I am not finished, and I am telling you this because when I phoned these people, they said to me that they didn't get the email, right? Now this is Monday before the elections. Friday and Monday I helped here. And I said, but these emails were sent out on the 21st of June. And you're telling me on the Monday before the elections, and then they said, well, I haven't looked at my emails today. There is one councillor, sitting councillor by the name of, I think his name is Pope. And I said to him, he said to me, is it Pope or Hope? Okay, Hope. I asked him about his, about mobilizing people. And he said to me, I said, well, didn't you get the email? He said, well, I saw something from the COP. As a member of the COP, when I go into my mailbox, anything that I see from the COP, I open it and I read it. You don't just glance over it, and he is a representative of the COP on council. I rest my key.
Okay, but Anne, I just want to say something. I think it's important. What we are doing here is we are going through a screening process in the National Council meeting, and I don't want us to do so. The party has a designed screening process. I think what you're, and all these issues will be addressed there. Let us allow that process to take its place. What I think Mr. Nurse was saying and others may be saying is, do we need to expedite that process where we have sitting councillors? Should we move forward and start screening? That is the kind of decision I'm looking for, an expedited process for the screening of candidates in those areas where we have sitting councillors.
With all due respect, Madam Chair, if you do not know the issues, how can you bring it up? Because this one that I brought up this morning is a very, very valid one. And if you do not know the issues, how can you bring it up when you're screening the candidates?
No, and the GenSec is aware. And these issues will be dealt with when the screening committee sits, which will involve members that will be able to relate that sort of information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? I don't want us to preempt it. I don't want us to prejudice the screening process. Okay? Am I using the correct term, the lawyers? Right.
Good morning, everyone. I want to recommend highly that a screening committee put in place as soon as possible and screen candidates for all the corporations that we asked that we do enroll. They did not object to it, even though they do not agree, but they did not come to the meeting. So therefore, I say let's proceed and screen for the candidates of the corporations that we said we want to fight all along. Let's do that immediately. I want to recommend that screening committee be done within a day or two and screening start for those areas, for those corporations. Second thing I want to say concerning the councillor from point 14 that you mentioned that her name is off the list. I believe that it's not fair enough just to say that you asked Anjak and Anjak said she's a member, because we have Councillor Cleveland Garcia that fought on an Anjak ticket, but he's a practicing COP. We have Otis
or who was a candidate on a NJAC ticket but is a practicing COP. I think she should be given a chance to make the choice. The councillor, particular councillor, should be asked to pick and choose one of the two before we make a decision on her.
Mayor, I want to agree with you. When I heard the political leader, and I was saying that when we heard the GenSec saying that I don't think we could take those decisions until again, you see, forgive me if I may sound very process-oriented. People say that, that's being bureaucratic, but I think that person must be given an opportunity to be heard first.
Thank you very much.
Indicate, because we know of several COP members where we had strong COP support in electoral districts, but because the seat was given to the NJAC and they did not have support in that electoral district, we ended up having to put up a COP candidate under an NJAC ticket. Okay, so I mean, a lot of that took place in 2010. I just want to say that 2010, because again of the rushing that took place, many things took place that ought not to have taken place. And I just want us to start with a clean slate. That's my humble view where that is concerned. Yes, Mr.
Madam Chair, we have a by-election in Shogunas, Wendell Eversley. We have a by-election in Shogunas West.
Coming to that, just.
Right, we have a by-election in Shogunas West. You're talking about candidates, selection of candidates. We had our own member went to be screened. The party expelled him. It had a by-election, it had a general local government election in 2010. I was given the seat for 5 Rivers Lopino. The person who is the councillor today also screened for COP. Right? When she didn't get enough, she went and screened for the UNC. Nobody took up that to say that to the leadership that person have to be disqualified. And unjust was done unto me in that seat. A certain person told me last week, I said I concentrate on Hope's seat. I was never a person concentrating on a certain councillor seat for his area. So if he never served his area, why you want me on my area that I work on? And I want to know the party who I was fighting for, who I stood up in 2010, withdraw because of the split of that seat would have gone to the PNM. I want to know the party today is telling me that that seat is not a COP seat anymore. And it was given, and it is in Lopino, Borneo West constituency, which is controlled by our Member of Parliament, Dr. Lincoln Douglas. And if the party in stand, Madam Chair, I will make a decision. Because I find this is nonsense.
Morning.
Stephen Young. Just 1 minute, please. I want all of us to understand, please, that information and situation is changing every day as we speak here. And we have to be flexible. We have said, and I just want to clarify based on what Mr. Mills said and so on, and I want us to be clear. We have said, and if you look at the expression of interest form that people sign, the form says, I agree to participate in a program of preparation to be a candidate. That program started at the end of last year. It didn't start yesterday. And there are people who have not attended a single session here on a Saturday afternoon with potential candidates. So when we are talking screening, I am not of the view that screening is something you put a committee and you do. We have been screening people for months now. We told people they had assignments to do. We have told people already, start working where you are. Every single potential candidate. Some of them have responded magnificently. We asked people to start identifying offices. Some people who are not councillors have come back and reported, I have located a place for an office. I have located a building. I've spoken to a landlord, and so on and so on. And those people are doing their work. We asked people to organize cottage meetings. We actually rewarded the first 2 people who organized their meetings. So that people are not being asked today to do something to qualify to be a candidate for this party. People have been asked for months to simply demonstrate, not with your mouth, but with your work. We ask people to get 5 people who can work with them on a campaign team. When we ask them to produce those people in this building, less than half of them produce 5 people. So when they were invited to the Martin meeting, If they had their 5 people, at least they could have had 5 people come to the meeting. The issue is that we cannot take this road of screening that means that we sit in a room and ask somebody 2 questions and you become a candidate. People have to demonstrate that they can represent people. And as far as screening is concerned, I want, my own view is I disagree with the suggestion of the mayor and Mr. Nurse. I think we should complete decisions on who our candidates are out of the list of 65 that we have as a whole. If we do not do that, we will sit, we will wait, and because we have been waiting, what is happening with people leaving and running behind other positions with other parties, and we will end up in some districts fighting people who were our members up to yesterday in elections. Because of the uncertainty, several people, we're not all the same strength of conviction, and several people will be swayed by all kinds of things. So I think that we need to make decisions and proceed with respect to who are our candidates as a whole, and in that respect, it will also deal with how we approach negotiations and how we proceed in terms of preparing for elections. We cannot wait.
Morning. Stephen Young, Lavantil. This is Lavantil West. It's a clear fact that the only way you could get information is when the ground troops inform you of such activities on the ground. And I wanted to clarify Mr. Weather's statement where he asks who gave jobs, if it's the MP or the councillors or whatnot. And whilst we're trying to understand who given jobs in this region, jobs are already being given out to the UNC prospective candidates for local election. I work in an institute where these people must come to me, because we provide the estimates for whatever construction jobs that the minister wants to get done. I have COP councillors who just come to me on a day-to-day basis, who are now hiding because they cannot distribute to the people in which they govern and which they... But I have UNC proposed candidates who are just proposed to write and to fight elections for the UNC, coming to my office with instructions, with letters, informing me I am to give them all the assistance that they need. My engineering department, estimates, sent up to my head office, and in 2 weeks' time, they are now being awarded such contract. I want to clarify your statement that asks who give. I have contractors from Couva, Shogunas, Gasparilla, Sandy Gandhi in Port of Spain. And the councillors from Port of Spain can't get nothing. I have the COP councillors who just come to me and cry and start to cuss me and say, "Young ain't helping me." When my hands behind my back because there is somebody higher than me indicating who have to get these said jobs. And because of that, they started to come after my position because I'm saying, no, I am COP. And I am bombarded with UNC propose. I don't know if they are getting, not yet. But they are the people that reaping the benefit right now in terms of employment. And I'm just correct, I'm just giving you information because the only so you will know is when the people like myself come and tell you what is going on.
Mr. Young, could I just ask, from whom did you get those letters?
Those letters come from local government, my program managers and assessors.
No, what I mean, is there some level? Because the chairman and I have been raising these issues at a different level, but we get one story. No, Mr. Young, so I need to know with those letters where they're coming from. Who signed them?
I will bring those letters for you.
I'd be very appreciative.
I'll bring those
Thank
letters.
you.
So people, Lavantil West, I can only speak for Lavantil West because I was the chairman for Lavantil West and East Mover until somebody came up with the bright idea that they could do a better job and they mash up that. Somebody came up with a bright idea that they could be a better chairman, and when that happened, that dissolved. I am now speaking to some people in Lavantil West trying to mobilize back the COP. And their feelings is that it is better to bring back these subset cards which they have in their wallet, taking up space that $1 could have replaced, and to go to somebody else that could give them a brighter future, that wearing an orange or a green jersey. Because they are saying that nobody up here studying down here. And I want to repeat that statement quietly. The people of Lavantil, Port of Spain South, Port of Spain North, which I am truly their manager of, is saying that white go turn to green because nobody up here studying the man here. And I am saying that in Lavantil West it is going to be difficult. And I hear you all bypass that district because you all probably might be hear what I hear. Lavantil West is Sawa Regional Corporation. Lavantil West is part of Sawa Regional Corporation. And for us to get candidates to go up in that district, it has to be a miracle on behalf of the COP. I had to be given resources that you all wouldn't believe in order for me to get back those brothers and sisters who we had out there who turn their back away from the COP. I am a manager of a program in a region, and all my contracts are being given out at the head office level to people who I do not even know. And they are coming to my district where my councillors are, and they're not getting anything.
You are in a region or you are at the head office?
I am at the region, Region 2, the most difficult region,
Okay.
Port of Spain and surroundings.
And what are you at the region to?
I'm the regional manager
And you are getting instructions, you say, from one
from head office.
office. Okay, all right, yeah, okay. All right. Please.
Miss Chairman, my program manager said to me on Friday that we will be not sending no more contracts to your region because all my coordinators are UNC personnels. All my coordinators are UNC. I'm the 3 COP personnel there. 1, 2, 3. And we are living in enormous amount of hell. The same thing that the councillors. Miss Armstrong, I don't see her again. She had to hide because she cannot distribute anything to her people. She have to hide, not so Mr. Blow. She have to hide because there's nothing we can do to assist her, nothing. Nothing we can do to assist that councillor and others just like her. I have a councillor here before me who just come to me and can't help. I have a councillor before me here who just come to me and I can't help because somebody at the head dictating the pace. And as I told you, on Friday I got 3 letters of 3 persons who stating that they are prospective candidates for the United National Congress and that I'm to give them full support and use all my resources to ensure. So whilst they refuse to meet us in meetings to discuss this, they are already going ahead. They are already going ahead. They are already going ahead. If I was a weak man, all night I come in at Green Jersey. If I was a weak man, I would have come here this morning at Green Jersey. Because they say the grass is greener on the other side. But as a man of God, I am standing by the principle that I am now begging you all at the head table. The time for talking is over. We need action on behalf of the members. Protection of your people wherever they work. Wherever your members work, it's time to start protecting them, because we will not be having work in a pretty matter of time, so that we can strengthen them people behind them. Pleasant day.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Proceed.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, Madam Chair,
Morning.
political leader. With respect to local government elections, I want to make bring two observations to the party. One, in ARIMA, a definitive statement. Public servants have been working against the ability of a COP control council with respect to the delivery of local government services, a statement that I am willing to back up with recorded information. It is disgusting. The council probably isn't aware of the subtle ways that they are being sabotaged by the public servants who, when they believe they're doing political damage to the COP, are also doing damage to other public servants. If you have 5 or 6 public servants in the administration upstairs and 3,000 residents in Arima who are public servants, when they're sabotaging things like the garbage collection, we don't have to be afraid to go to Watson Duke and ask for help to bring that to the attention of everybody, because it is also public servants. It's not a COP. When the rubbish and pick up on a street, it have public servants on that street. You might have a doctor on that street, a teacher, it's citizens. And in the subtlest of ways, and I just want this community to understand, between now and the local government election, how even more subtle it's going to be. So a garbage truck rolls into a yard for the brakes to be repaired, and 2 years. 2 years that my community doesn't have the ability to remove garbage from among all of us who are human beings much faster. And you know what's going to happen when election come up? The COP council, they ain't doing nothing. That is what's going to happen, you know. All these councillors here, and the mayor, you're going to hear them getting the blame. But in a real way, because I was inside, I didn't go for the money. When I took the little contract, was to observe, to be able to come and talk factually. A dump truck, hoist up, more than 6 months. Which part for any truck in Trinidad and Tobago taking 6 months to source and to pay for? And your public servant watching me and telling me they're defying the Integrity Commission and the Parliamentary Committee that was examining them on local government, because they can't tell him nothing. No public servant must be able to come into any community and deny the people, all of us, 40,000, 60,000 of us, from a service, because everybody likes to talk about the importance of local government. And when I was there, I could record it. I could give truck numbers. I could give the length of time. You have supervisors. There was a letter in the Guardian talking about the orange truck. Supervisors, monthly paid people, not insisting that the daily paid people do their work. And you know what happening? You're suddenly seeing the work going more and more to contractors now. So the corporation not cleaning the amount they used to clean. But you know what's going to happen? Daily paid workers will no longer be employed by the corporation. I don't know what strategy that is. So you're abandoning equipment. And then you're giving it now in auction to private contractors, and the contractors taking it and come and bid for contract in the same corporation and getting the work. But from $203 a day to less than $150 a day. Those who were there in SWWTO Hall in 2009, when forces were now gathering and beginning to gel, more since that time I've been talking about the plight of the people who remove the garbage from among all of us. Because if it's so stink that we want it among us, who moving it had to be important. The other thing I'd like to ask the party to observe, with respect to selection of candidates, can we look for a balance
so that when, as happened in Arima, we control a council, it would not be people who were individually screened and found fit and proper, but that a whole picture will emerge of a council where there are people who are interested in religion, in culture, in education, because you could end up with 7 people, each one competent enough to be a councillor, but none with a history of involvement in culture, so that your strong point in your area, it might be steel band, mass, calypso, or what. Nobody on the council has a history of involvement in that aspect of community life. So one of the strong points that the party could get in pushing culture, reaching the whole community, is lost. I would like the party to revise and revisit the criteria used, not simply for individual suitability, but for the emergence of a council that could really promote the party through promoting activities community-wise. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. And I think it is important that for those of you who feel that you would like us to, as we go towards the screening process, that if there are some criteria that you would like us to include, we should do so. Just for the information as well, the screening process is a 2-tier process, meaning the first level will deal with the individual, but you normally have to look at the global picture. It's done when we did it in 2010, 2007, when we did all the candidates. That's why you have to take a national view when you actually, although you may screen an individual, you also have to take that national view at the end of it. And this is why sometimes people ask, well, how did you end up with this person or that person? It's because when you take the full picture, you have to look at the team that is going forward, the full mix. So I just wanted to make that point, and that is why that sometimes happens. So, sir, if you would want, if you could you please provide us with that via an email, some of the criteria you would like us to look, Mr. St. Louis, the mix that you're thinking about, calypso, religion, etc., so that we can put it into the screening process. Thank you. Okay.
Good morning, Stephen Green, Port of Spain North. I want to re-emphasize some of the points the previous speaker made. One about politicians taking the blame, as I see this now on a fairly regular basis, where we have wonderful...
Stephen, I just want to remind you of one of our ground rules, don't repeat. Right, okay, in the interest of time. Okay, so act it.
Well, we have wonderful public servants, we have others that don't perform, and then our political elected people get to take the blame for something. My point, though, is about criteria, selection criteria, and his points were wonderful. Like, for example, in Arima, you could consider trying to prioritize a representative of First Nations. But what I really wanted, I apologize if this has already a decision been made, but why couldn't we formalize at least part of our selection criteria, circulate it to the membership of the party so that delegates, everybody understands these are our criteria, and potentially you could even circulate that to the public at large so that they see we have these standards. Thank you.
Very good point. Very good, Stephen. Stephen, you want to assist us with our process of documenting it? All right, please. Yes, yes.
Okay. Madam Chairman, Bal Haidal from Chaguanas West, the hottest seat at the moment. The first thing I want to say, this is the second time I've come to a council meeting. Last time, I had to remain half an hour extra because I had an urgent appointment in order to see what I had to see. I am very disappointed when I hear people come up here and start talking about I and me. And half the time, we have egomaniacs who come up here only talking about I and me rather than the party. And Mr. Chairman, I am saying that many of us who sit here as delegates are intimidated when we see these long lines and to come up and speak because there are so many others. I'm not denying that other people can speak, but I want to suggest, please, when we come up here to speak, we have to speak about our constituency. Our constituency. When others come up here to speak, they're speaking about I and me. That's for the I party, not for the COP. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm suggesting there must be a mix allow people who are delegates by the show of hands. I'm not coming up, I feel intimidated to come up here and start up in a line. I'm suggesting that delegates, by their show of hands, that you have a mix of the delegates and the observers, so that we don't have to come up here and stand up and wait. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll take that into consideration.
Morning. James Nibahadro, St. Augustine. Madam Chair, Honorable Political Leader, just one comment I want to make. I think the criteria, one of the criteria for selecting the councillors should be attendance to committee meetings. I'm an alderman in the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation, and I'm ashamed sometimes that our own COP councillors, sitting councillors, do not attend meetings. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a matter of record. We have to get the records. For sitting councillors, we normally have to get the records. Okay? All right?
Good day, everybody. John Rigo, Martin Central. I just want to Mr. Weatherhead, I want to tell you something. So, yes, Mr. Weatherhead, what's happening is that I understand the ideology of the COP as to not wanting to get out of the scenario of the URP and this sort of stuff and the gimme kind. I understand it's a good ideology, yes. But Mr. Weatherhead, you have to understand all right, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, the culture, not the culture of the people, you know. It's the, if you are sick, like when you were sick the last time, you don't get better right away, the next day you jump up and you go on and you're good. You have to take a little time. Right now I see you going real good. Praise God for that, right? So it takes time to get out of this scenario, of this syndrome, of all these different problems that the community is of Trinidad facing with the culture we brought up in. So we need it. You can't get out of it one time, and now is not the time to try to just get out of it, especially right. It's too soon. Gradually we will come out of it, but you have to give us some time and let us work with the people on the ground as to trying to get it done. I guess you understand what I'm going on. Thank you.
President Kurt Sinnott, field operation. I'm just being led to say this. I would like you all to be careful. The evil one is amongst us working. We have to watch the characteristics of the evil one. I am being led to say it. This is all I'm saying you. Watch the characteristics of the evil one. They are amongst us.
Okay, Pastor Kurt.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good morning. Winston Ramsey, Councillor from Arca Santa Margarita in the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation. Madam Chair, Political Leader, I just want to remind the members here and the executive of this party that at the end of this month, all councillors here, the COP councillors, would not be official. So we would not probably be delegates representing anybody here. If we come here, we would probably just be observers. So I just want to remind people, because I think a lot of people probably is not aware of it. So that is all I want to say this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's it. Anybody else on local government?
Local government. Madam Chairman, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I'm losing track of is where we are on the agenda in the list of issues that we are discussing.
On local government?
Yeah.
So let's complete it.
The one thing that I want to go back to, and I'm not talking on it, is Mr. Nurse made a proposition. What is going to happen to that proposition? He said the 21st was your deadline. Okay, he had asked that you stick to the deadline. In my mind, if this is a decision-making forum, we have to take a decision with respect, and that's all. It's just a point of...
You see, that is what I was trying to get, is what is the specific recommendation? What is it that we want to finish by the 21st?
To my mind, well...
Madam Chairman, let me contextualize the thing again. I'm saying that the COP must avoid internal confusion, a thing that I'm aware that there's a potential for. I am saying that the situation we're in requires some pragmatism. I am saying that under the constitution of the COP, there are people who are required to be at council meetings. I am saying that I am personally aware that there are councillors here who have, in fact, fulfilled those tenets. Yeah? And I'm saying that based on that, we must give them the endorsement and release them to begin operating in their electoral districts with the expectation, let's be finished, with the expectation of an election. I'm saying everything else, we can then subject it to the process that you outlined. Let me say this, I keep saying, I heard the Honorable General Secretary, I said there is a distinction between process and pragmatism, and I respect his 30-odd years in the public service, and he came back to me out of a civil service mentality. Clyde, this is politics, this is pragmatism. Amen.
My point again, what is the decision?
Let me just summarize what I've been hearing so far. One of the things that seem coming up here this morning are the criteria for selection of candidates to be used in the screening process. So I want to suggest that we publish that as soon as possible for members and those who would like to make their contributions, please do so. Secondly, we are going to outline the screening process, which is a two-tier system from what I know from the time in 2007, and therefore we move forward with that. Where there are constituency executives, we must have constituency executives ready to participate and promote the screening process, together with if there are sitting MPs and sitting regional chairmen or mayors. The second issue that was raised is the issue of the deadline of the 21st of July, which we had set to be able to negotiate seats, which are seats that we are going forward with. One suggestion is that we move forward immediately to start screening for all the seats that we have put on the table for the 3 corporations. Am I correct? Yeah. How many of you agree with that? Yeah. Put up your hands, delegates. Yeah, I'll deal with the incumbency just now. All right, now the issue of incumbents, because what the 3 corporations we are speaking to are Rima, San Fernando, and Diego Martin. So we should start screening for candidates in those 3 corporations, all the seats, okay? And get the process off the ground, have that completed when you're saying 21st. Well, 21st is next week, so I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm putting in the paper,
Good morning, everyone. Nirad Tiwari, member. Couple of things. I noticed that we started off talking about very specific things, and we're talking about allocation of seats and process and so on. Whereas, is wanting to allocate seats. We can allocate all the seats we want like a monopoly board, but we have to win them. And we cannot win them in the absence of a strategy. And that is linked to your next discussion about Chaguanas West. I don't think anybody here believes that the COP has gained in popularity since 2010. Okay? I do not, at the same token, subscribe to those views that the COP is dead. I noticed an interesting discussion amongst some people whom I consider to have the COP's best interests at heart, talking about the prince that will kiss the sleeping beauty and wake up. And I think, pardon me, you don't know what I'm talking about? Okay, no, I comment to it. Oh God, all you give Kurt some latitude, give me some latitude too now. Right. What I mean by that, what I interpreted that to mean, is that the COP's latent impact on the politics of Trinidad and Tobago can awaken the national soul to bring a change to the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. But we must kiss the bride. We must kiss the sleeping beauty. We must go and do it. And therefore, we have to set
our high-level goal. Getting to government on our own is our high-level goal. And then we need to inspire. John spoke about the journey. We do need to go out there. People are not going to stop seeing the eye, Mr. Heidel, if we do not, one, start explaining how it is in their individual self-interest to stop seeing the eye because it comes down to the eye. It is in our self-interest because we're not talking about the eye to see a better society because we know it will benefit the eye. And therefore we have to start to explain that. But in the absence of good governance, which is part of the problem we face, the eye becomes more important because we cannot rely on the institutions and the systems to give us the kind of society and the entitlements that we should have as citizens of our country. And so we need to start to articulate these things. We have 2 parliamentary sessions left, and the only thing we have left, in my opinion, is to argue for and ensure that we get key changes to the structure of our society in tangible ways that mean something to the people. Because if new politics is an idea in our head, and if new politics makes us feel good to say we are the party of new politics, without connecting that to what people need and what they want, then we are in a la-la land. And when we talk about governance within the party, we have to talk about real governance. I know some of you will not like this, but the National Council cannot be making strategic decisions that impact us and hamstring the executive to take the political action required to effect what it is you want. You cannot come and tell the executive they must conclude this by 21st, which is next week, and then go out there and lick up the political leader and the chairman and the executive when something else happens and you've tied their hands. In a normal organization, you would have an executive running the organization. You'd have a board, and then you'd have a shareholders or a grouping, what have you. I think the National Council needs to give the executive key guidance on what is it that you want to achieve. And to me, one of the things we should be saying in the National Council this morning is that we expect the National Executive to decide